Hi, I'm Zach. This is Challenger Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So, today we're talking about why Adolf Hitler became the face of evil in humanity. And if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out me and the channel. To be notified whenever I release a new video, be sure to hit the notification bell icon and select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Alright, so, talked about Robert Oppenheimer in our last video. Now we're talking about Adolf Hitler. So, with a chart of a person like this, there will be negative information. If you don't want to hear that negative information, then, click off of this video. Perfectly fine. But we're going to talk about Adolf Hitler. We're going to talk about a number of different things in his life. Why he was the man he was. And, let's jump right in. Alright, so, here we have the birth chart of Adolf Hitler. On the left, we have our D1 birth chart. And on the right, we have the D9 Navamsa chart. Okay. So, Hitler is a Libra ascendant. Libra is about the masses. It's about all the people out in the world. This, in relationships, would be very significant in his life. His ascendant nakshatra is Chitra. So Chitra is tied to a number of things. One, it's tied to weapons. It's tied to artisanry, craftsmanship. It's tied to assassinations. So, Hitler wanted to be an artist in his youth. And later in life, there was an assassination attempt against him, which left him hard of hearing. In his Navamsa chart, he has Saturn in Shravana, nakshatra of listening. Heaviest of karma. Shravana is also tied to conquest, though. It's tied to the little person conquering all. So we see he also had karma to be a conqueror. But, of course, we can't talk about Hitler without talking about how much of an evil bastard he was. So, let's talk about that. So, here we see his ascendant lord is in the 7th house, in Bharani. Venus in Bharani. Bharani is a nakshatra of justice. Sure. But it is also a nakshatra of incest and of death. Now, first off, how do we see an evil person? We have to see the malefic versus benefic influence on their moon and on their ascendant. So in Hitler's case, you see Sun and Mars, malefics, aspecting his ascendant. Now sure, Jupiter is with his moon, but this is being affected by Ketu. And also, Jupiter and moon, overblown emotions. Emotions are being expanded. Now, in the Navamsa, the malefic influence on the ascendant becomes even more severe. Ketu and Mars directly in the ascendant. And he's a Scorpio ascendant. Scorpio is the sign of death. So, ascendant being Libra, the masses. Ascendant in the Navamsa, Scorpio, death. He brought death to the masses. And we see that his ascendant lord in the 7th house of the masses, all the people out in the world, in the nakshatra of death. His 11th lord of desires is in the 7th house. So he would desire to be a king amongst the masses, sun exalted. But for what? Why would he be a ruler? because he would kill people. His Saturn is in Ashleisha. Saturn is the heaviest of karmas. So, his heaviest of karma was to manipulate a government. Ashleisha is manipulation. He would manipulate a government. He would manipulate children. Saturn's his fifth lord of children in the 10th house of government. So he'd manipulate children to fight for his corrupt government. And also, Hitler was in love with his half-niece and kept her as a prisoner, essentially, locked in his apartment. Ashleisha is a nakshatra tied to slavery and imprisonment. And he has Venus in Bharani in the 7th house of relationships. So yes, he was in an incestuous relationship with his half-niece. In his birth chart, that is very clear. And when you look from the moon, moon is how a person's mind works. You should always look at from the moon. His 11th lord of desires in the 5th house of children in the nakshatra of Bharani. He would desire to be in an incestuous relationship with a child. Now, she was, I believe, 17. But Hitler was nearly twice her age. He was far older than her. So, still a child in most people's eyes. Now, what we also see with this, he would desire to kill children, to bring death to children. He was trying to destroy the descendants of Jewish people. Now, back to looking from his ascendant. His Saturn is in Ashleisha. Ashleisha is a nakshatra tied to not being straight. There are rumors that Hitler may not have been straight. Now, one thing I will say, he was definitely in relationships with women. We clearly see that from his relationship with his half-niece and his marriage to his wife. Now, what I would say with this is there's a strong possibility he was bisexual or pansexual. That's what I would say with this. But would I say for sure? No, not for sure. Now, in his Navamsa, we clearly see the sign of who his significant relationships would be with. He was in a relationship with his half-niece and with his, the woman who became his wife, whose name is slipping my mind right now. But that's a love triangle. And we see he has Ketu in Anuradha, Mars in Anuradha, Ascendant in Anuradha, Venus in Anuradha. Anuradha is a nakshatra of love triangles. It's also a nakshatra tied to losing a karmic soulmate. So, he kept his half-niece that he was in love with imprisoned. Always under guard. Always locked in his apartment. She killed herself. And we see that would have heavily affected him. Anuradha is also a nakshatra tied to insanity. Bare minimum, there would be a bout of temporary insanity, of mental health issues. And if anyone was insane, safe to say it was Adolf Hitler. But what do we also see? Well, Hitler committed suicide. So the biggest of themes in a person's life is Jupiter in the Navamsa. It is in Purva Phalguni. Purva Phalguni is a nakshatra tied to codependent relationships. to the point where a person commits suicide. So him and his wife both committed suicide. Now, in the birth chart, Jupiter is in Purva Ashada with the moon. Purva Ashada is a nakshatra of early victory, of strategy, of planning for battle. Say what you want about Hitler. He was a brilliant strategist. Also, biggest of themes, Jupiter in the third house of communication. In its own sign. So yeah, he was able to communicate to the masses. Second Lord of Speech in the 7th house in Bharani. He would speak to the masses about Bharani, rules, regulations, following the law, killing those he deemed needed to be killed. And people would listen. Now, what do we also see? Jupiter is with Ketu. Ketu is tied to research. It's tied to the occult. Hitler did research into the occult. Had research done into occult subjects. Also, Hitler had a lot of scientific advancements that were done. He insisted on it. As a matter of fact, the reason the thumbnail of this video is a picture in color in that day and age was because Hitler supported that. You look at pictures from the US during that time, they are still in black and white. Nazi Germany made significant scientific advancements. Even evil people can do things that in the long run make the world better. As much as we may not want to say that. Or admit that. Now, what do we also see? Rahu and Punarvasu. So, his desire would be tied to the 9th house. 9th house is foreign lands. Punarvasu is a nakshatra tied to repeated failures. So, despite him having a theme of early victory, despite him being victorious in a lot of ways early on in life, he still dealt with repeated failures as well. Yeah. And Punarvasu is a nakshatra tied to heroes. Among his people, during that time, he was considered a hero. Now, what do we also see? Moon in Magha. So Magha is a nakshatra of kings, of leadership, of government. This is being expanded by Jupiter. But Magha is also a nakshatra of lineage, of ancestry. And to Hitler, this was of utmost importance. He believed in the Aryan race. Believed that Jews were inferior. Safe to say, in that regard, he was a fucking idiot. But we clearly see that that would be very significant to Adolf Hitler. His destiny point, the BP, the Brigabindu point, is in Asta. Asta is a nakshatra of gambling, of fighting. It's in the 12th house of foreign lands, foreign nations. So, his destiny was to fight foreign countries, foreign people. To gamble on having a victory in those battles. But yeah, so all of this is very clear to us looking at his chart. This is why a person like this becomes evil. This is why he wanted to do the things that he did. Him being a Libra ascendant shows that what he would do would be very significant, tied to the masses. Look how many planets are in his 7th house. 4 planets. So, 7th house, the masses. He would be known throughout the world for the evil bastard that he was. A person is evil because of the actions that they choose to take in this life. That's what makes a person evil. If Hitler had just become an artist, most of us wouldn't give a shit. Okay, so this was the birth chart of Adolf Hitler and why he was the face of evil in humanity. Why he will be known as that for decades, centuries to come. Hopefully, history won't repeat itself. But frankly, as someone living in the United States, it seems like at least a third of the country is hell-bent on going down the same path, as is much of the rest of the world. Fascism under a new name, committing the same atrocities in different ways. Israel, great example. Now, instead of Jews being genocide, it's Palestinians. It's Muslims. The cycle goes round and round. When will humanity fucking learn? Needless to say, I've been pretty heated in this video. But if I'm gonna speak about Adolf Hitler and, his legacy, I'm gonna speak honestly. Candidly. Alright. Anyways, if you happen to like this video, then be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out me in the channel to be notified whenever I release a new video. Be sure to hit the notification bell icon and select all. And if you'd like a Vedic Sidereal birth chart, a personal tarot reading, or an astrology consultation, links to those will be in the description box and the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.